Alright, hey everyone. Um, Welcome to my first video that I'm going to be making on this channel. Not really sure um, if I'll make any more, but I've been wanting to get into just sort of mock draft, football, in general content. And with the 2025 draft coming up, I thought, what's a better time? Uh, wanted to wait until playoffs began to try to get, um, a lot of teams' final record, uh, which would be more accurate draft order. But I thought, whatever, I'll just start now. Um, I am using PFF here. I don't usually use PFF because I'm not subscribed. It's too much money for what they offer, in my opinion. So when, if I make more videos deeper into the draft season when I want to start mocking trades, uh, I would be using a different application. But let's go and start. And we got New England here at number one. And I think when it comes, if they keep this pick, I think when it comes to draft day, they're going to trade down. I would. A lot of people would say to just take Travis Hunter, and it's like, sure, he's really talented, very good player. I think he's going to be great, but man, this isn't a very talented draft class, and I just think if you could get more picks, to potentially, I think the minimum to get it to one, whether this is a weak class or not for quarterbacks, would be at minimum a first rounder next year, and then on top of that, you would probably get a second rounder the year after. Would be my guess. I do apologize if you can hear any screaming. I live on a college campus, so. But yeah, I would trade down here if I'm New England, but I'm not gonna do trades because we don't have the final draft order. I don't think there's any point in doing trades. I think it's just about finding a match for the teams where they're at. Anyways, long story short, really short story long there. We're gonna go Travis Hunter, and I just think that's such an easy pick. If you're New England, I just don't know what else you do. But anyways, we're gonna go and move on here. I like it like that. All right. So the Titans. Look, he benched Will Levis. I think that says everything that needs to be said. I liked Will Levis, and especially when he started playing well the last half of the 23 season, I really thought, I was right about him. I thought he was going to end up being better than Anthony Richardson. Unfortunately, I didn't make any videos at the time, so I don't have record of that. But, I really did think he had a chance at being better than Anthony Richardson, and I really do think he was. It was a small sample size for AR, but last season I think he was, and then this season he just, just the turnover plays, everyone knows about him. I don't think anyone doesn't know about him. So, yeah, he's not the guy. I think he's probably out of there. He's gonna get traded somewhere for like a 6th round pick. Anyways, God, this is gonna be an hour-long video if I keep talking like this. Okay. Well, yeah, and I really agree with PFF's. I haven't looked at PFF's grading yet. Like I said, I don't really use PFF when I do mock drafts. But I really agree with them not having the quarterbacks very high, and I think that's just accurate because this quarterback class is not good. It's not. However, and I want to go on record saying this now, Shedeur Sanders is going 1, Cam Ward's going 2. I will stand by that. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Whatever. But I really think that's just how it's going to end up going, and it's because quarterback is so overvalued in the NFL, and whether you agree with that or not, quarterback is the most important position in football. It just is. There's no arguing. There's no nothing. That's just what it is. So that being said, I think even though they're not that talented, and him being a 42 rank is crazy. But yeah, I think it's going to be Shedeur Sanders here. I don't think the Titans front office really cares what Deion Sanders thinks here, and they're going to take Shedeur Sanders. And this is going to get interesting I am recording this as of Friday, the 3rd of January. So if the Browns win and the Titans lose, then I think you see something interesting happen here. I really think the Patriots should start Milroe to just secure the #1 pick, but whatever. So here we got the Browns at 3. I just think, here's the thing. I don't think they were expecting to pick this high, and so I think they were expecting to bring in like Kirk during free agency to just bring some competition. But now you're at pick 3, and the thing is the cool thing about the guy that I'm gonna take is you actually don't want to start him day one. I wouldn't. And with Cam Ward, I think he could be a great NFL quarterback if he sat for a year, possibly multiple. Just sat behind a veteran, learn the offense, learn the system, get used to the NFL, the speed, watch a game. Maybe if, Deshaun Watson or whoever ends up being the starter gets hurt, you come in and kind of get that experience, but it's not all on you. I think Cam Ward can be great if he gets that kind of treatment. So Cam Ward going to the Browns here at number 3. So then I got New York at 4, and I mean, yeah, winning that game just really screwed them over. I mean, there's really nowhere else to put it. They wanted Shadur Sanders. I mean, that's really embarrassing. You put those cleats on that had the New York logo and everything, and then you drop a game, and now you're at pick 4. There's not a quarterback that you're going to take here. And anyone who thinks, well, look at all the quarterbacks, you're not taking any of these guys even anywhere close to the first round. So when that happens, you have to go BPA. So we're going to do that. And I just think there's so many things you can do here if you're the Giants. And I think there's 2 that stand out. It's either going Abdul Carter and getting someone across from Brian Burns. However, because of Kayvon Thibodeau, you don't really need to do that. And I don't think there's an interior really worth taking. So, I mean, Mason Graham's great. I just don't think they're going to because of Dexter Lawrence. That's what I mean. Not that Mason Graham is not worth taking here. So I think they're going to just end up going Will Johnson. Big physical corner. He's dealt with some injuries, but I don't think that's going to really hurt his draft stock too much. And just a little bit of a notice, I guess. I'm not 100% familiar with this class. I'm familiar with a lot of the guys, and I do go to University of Arizona, so I'm very familiar with T-Mac and Jonas Savainia. Other than those 2, I mean, of course, the stars. I'm very familiar with the quarterbacks, Travis Hunter, Will Johnson. A lot of these top guys I know. When you start getting down the board here a little bit, I am not as familiar, but I know a good amount about the first round prospects that I can confidently do a first round mock draft. Now, when it comes to like a second and third round, which I might do, I need to start watching film. I want to do that. I did it a little bit in 22. I did it a good amount last year, and I'm probably going to do it a good amount this year as well. Anyways, just wanted to preface that. So if I say anything wrong, it's just because I'm not 100% familiar with these draft prospects. Anyways, that being said, Giants grab Will Johnson. I think that's going to be their CB1. The way I feel about Will Johnson is how I felt about Quinyon Mitchell last year, and I really wish I would have been doing this, going on record. I felt so good about Quinyon Mitchell last year. I loved him. I had him going, I think, to the Raiders at 13, from what I remember, or maybe it was Terry Arnold, but I had him going early, and I mean, he fell to the Eagles, and they got a steal. Anyways, moving on to the Jaguars here at 5. I think in real life I would trade down here, depending on how people test at the combine and everything. However, I think you just go best player available here from what your needs are. And I mean, the interior of that line, I'm not 100% familiar with it, although they signed someone from the 49ers, and it's just like, now I need to look this up real quick. Okay, let's see here. So yeah, Eric Armstead, that's who I'm thinking of. I mean, that he hasn't really worked out, and then Devon Hamilton, he's whatever, right? So I think you just gotta upgrade that, and Mason Graham is a great player. I love Mason Graham. I've watched a lot of Michigan games this year. I'm not a big college football guy, but I have watched a good amount. I watched the Ohio State game, and oh wow. I mean, during the Ohio State game, what a performance. He was all over Will Howard that entire game. I mean, he can stuff the run. He can rush the passer. There's nothing he can't do for an interior defensive lineman. I think the Jaguars would be massively upgrading that O-line, or D-line, sorry. Him, Trayvon Walker, and Josh Hines-Allen, and Eric Armstead. That's a very solid line there. It's definitely not one I would want to be up against. So, Panthers here at 6. And this is very easy. I've seen this done everywhere, and it's just because I think this is what is going to end up happening unless the Jaguars take him. I don't think they do, though. Abdul Carter is probably a top 3 player in the draft. I think Abdul Carter, Mason Graham, and Travis Hunter are the top 3 players in the draft. The only reason these two go here is because they're quarterbacks, and Will Johnson. The Giants just don't need defensive line, so they go corner, which corner is obviously a very important position, especially with how heavy, passing is now. You just see that so much. But yeah, the Panthers' defense has been atrocious this year. No pass rush. Jadeveon Clowney, I believe, is their leading sack, or their sack leader, and yeah, he's like 34, 35. You can't have that. So the Panthers finally get younger, better at the edge position, and with how important pass rushers, especially on the edge, are today, I think that would be massive for them. And I can't say massive anymore without thinking of Ninja. Okay, Jets here at 7. I mean, what don't they need? This team's a mess. Should have easily been a wildcard team this year with the roster they had, and I mean, Woody Johnson might be the worst owner in all of football. Unbelievable they didn't get Jerry Jeudy because his Madden rating was too low. I really hope that isn't true. If that is, the Jets will never be good if that is your owner. However, you're going to try, and I mean, look, there's a couple things they could do here. I would usually do Mason Graham, but he goes to the Jaguars here, so it gets a little interesting. I don't think Ashton Genty's in play. However, Tetairoa McMillan is a great player. Here at Arizona, I can tell you that our offense was T-Mac. That is it. Fifita throws the ball up to him, and he catches anything you throw his way. I think I only saw one bad drop, and just watching him in person, he's so big, he's so powerful. He's not the fastest guy. He doesn't run the cleanest routes, but he can jump up and get the ball. He's strong hands, and that's a guy like T. Higgins, Drake London. Drake London hasn't really been fantastic, but look at his quarterbacks. So, but look at T. Higgins. And obviously by the channel name and my Google background, you should be able to tell that I'm a big Bengals fan. So I know all about T. Higgins. So I think T-Mac's definitely an option. I did a whole lot of talking for a guy I don't think I'm actually going to end up taking here, though. And that is because I think the Jets realize, okay, look, Tyron Smith, believe he's only on a 1 year. Same thing with Morgan Moses. I don't think you bring either of them back. Now you have Olu Fashanu to probably take Tyron Smith's place. However, you don't have a replacement for Morgan Moses, and I think that's where you take Kelvin Banks Jr. Now, I want to go on record to say that I think that Will Campbell is a better offensive lineman, I think in general, but he will end up playing guard in the NFL. He's not going to play tackle. I would be shocked if a team plays him at tackle. That being said, tackle's more valuable in the NFL. You're going to go the guy that can probably play tackle. Even Kelvin Banks might be moved to guard, but he has a shot at playing tackle, and I think that pushes him above Will Campbell, even though I do think Will Campbell will end up being better than Kelvin Banks. But the Jets go and grab the right tackle, hopefully in the future, here in Kelvin Banks Jr. Next year, the Raiders at 8, and this is just easy for me. There's a part of me that wants to go Ashton Genty. However, with no Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers is not your future, and you got Trey Tucker, who's okay. I think you go Tetairoa McMillan. Here's the thing. McMillan is, like I already talked about with the Jets, great playmaker, jump up, get the ball, right? Genty is a great player, and I don't think the game against Penn State hurt his draft stock at all. However, wide receiver is more valuable than running back at the end of the day, and I think that's what pushes T-Mac above Ashton Jenney for them. I mean, whether you think that's right or not, it just is what it is. And I think the Raiders would rather get a big-time receiver for their future quarterback than a running back. Not that a running back wouldn't be good for a rookie quarterback, because, you know, having a strong run game is very important to developing a quarterback. However, I think also giving them a target to throw to helps a little bit. Ask Drake May. All right, Bears here at number 9. Speaking of Ask Drake May, let's ask Caleb Williams what he thinks. He won't say it publicly, but we all know what he thinks. He needs an O-line. Will Campbell. That is the easiest pick, I think, of this draft. I think this is the one that won't change throughout the whole process. I think they will end up getting him in real life unless the Jets take him. I doubt that, though. Yeah, the Bears, they need someone. Their tackles are okay. Braxton Jones was the future there. I don't know. Darnell Wright's actually played really solid this year, and I think that's gone under the radar because the Bears' O-line as a whole has played bad. However, Darnell Wright has actually played very solid. However, that interior is god-awful. I don't even know any of their names, although I do know that one of them is a starting 4th-round rookie, I believe, and that is not going to work. I think it's their center from what I know. So, yeah, Will Campbell here, you got to upgrade that O-line, give Caleb just a little bit of time, and I think that's going to give it more of an upgrade than people will give it credit for, because here's the thing, Darnell Wright's playing solid. If you add Will Campbell in there, that's 2 solid offensive linemen. That means teams, once they really realize how good Will Campbell is, you have to start thinking, okay, who do we double team here? That takes the pressure away from the other offensive linemen, and there you go. So, yeah, so the Saints here, not the Jets, the Saints. I would have taken T-Mac if he's here, but he's not. So I think it's very simple. And they're going to go edge. They just need someone. Chase Young, I don't know what happened to him. It's just what a fall off there. But yeah, Michael Williams is going to be the pick here. I mean, here's the thing. The Saints love big guys that are physical. They have the arm length, the speed, the physicals, the tools. They're not big into is he good, they're big into can he be good. And that's worked for them sometimes, hasn't worked for them sometimes. But I think that's why Michael Williams is going to be the pick here, because that's just what they like to draft. Alright, 49ers here at 11. This could very well change. This is a very solid area of the draft, because here's the thing, the Cardinals and 49ers play on Sunday. Again, this video might be getting released after that game, but as of right now, if the Cardinals lose, they jump all the way back here, depending on how the other two do. It's very weird, these picks. But anyways, moving on from that, there's so many ways the Niners can go here. I don't think there's just one thing you do. I think there's multiple things you can do. You know, it's hard for me to say. I think you could definitely consider offensive line. However, I don't think there's anyone really worth taking here. I mean, yeah. It's Josh Simmons, I think, is going to be great. I think the injury is going to make him fall a little bit. Would I be shocked if he goes earlier than I end up having him go? Not at all. But, you know, does he is a whole different thing. Malachi Starks could be the pick here. I don't think I'm going to do that. But he could be the pick here. And I think that's just simply because Hufanga, do you want to pay him, or do you just want to get younger, cheaper? Especially going into a rebuild, it seems. I don't know. I think you would definitely want to go edge here. And, because here's the thing with the interior defensive lines. I mean, let me just go ahead and put both of these up here. I mean, you could want maybe Kenneth Grant. But I don't know. I would rather edge. It's more valuable in the NFL. It just makes more sense. And with a guy like Nick Scorton sitting here, I like the physicals of Scorton. I like the talent of James Pierce Jr. more. What a team values more, whatever. I am going to take Nick Scorton, though. I think the Niners just need to get better at edge. They need to get more physical in the trenches on both sides of the ball. That's been the issue this year. Neither side, besides Nick Bosa and Trent Williams when he's played, and then Pooney. Those are the only guys that I can think of that are just physical. They're really getting out there on the line. Everyone else in the trenches, they're just not there. And so I think Nick Scorton helps you fix that. Here at pick number 12, Look, I mean, this Colts team is a mess. This whole thing that's happening with Pat McAfee, what a mess that I would not want to be in. But unfortunately, well, fortunately, I'm not the Colts. The Colts are, anyways. Um, Malachi Starks. I don't think I need to really touch on it too much more. A lot of people would say tight end here. I don't think so. I don't think either of the tight ends are going to be going this early, and I say either referring to Colson Loveland and Tyler Warren. I don't think either of them go at pick 12. I mean, maybe. I wouldn't be shocked, but it took a guy like Brock Bowers to go all the way at pick 13, and he was generational. We're talking about two guys that are first-round talents, but not anywhere near generational. I don't think they're going to go higher than Brock Bowers did. And I think someone like Malachi Starks, who's truly a blue chip talent. I mean, this is a guy who is probably top 5 in the entire class, if not top 7. I don't think he's going to fall anywhere further than pick 12, especially a team like the Colts. I mean, look, I don't care what your safety situation is. I know you could definitely use an upgrade, but if you don't want to play him at safety, it's just a talented DB. You find a place for him, right? I mean, that's just what good GMs do. Look at a guy like Brian Branch, right? Did the 49ers, did the Lions need him? I don't remember really, to be completely honest with you. But what he did for them was that, hey, this is a really solid DB and he's sliding. Let's just take him and we'll plug and play him. And look how that's worked out for them. I don't think the Colts are going to think too hard about that. Cowboys, look, everyone and their mom does it, but it just makes too much sense. The Cowboys love Boise State players. Look at Cam Hayward. I mean, they love their Boise State guys. They need a running back. Rico Dowdle's been playing solid. I don't think you extend a 26-year-old running back who's very below average. I think instead you opt to take an exciting prospect like Ashton Jeanty that could bring an explosiveness to this offense that they just don't have outside of CeeDee Lamb. And I think Jerry Jones, as interesting as he is, I don't think he'll really complain about the pick. Moving on to the Cardinals here at 14. There's so many ways you can go. You could sit here and talk about it all day. Luther Burden, pair outside with Michael Wilson, Marvin Harrison Jr. Probably not. You could, although I wouldn't. You could consider. I mean, Kyler. He's kind of running for his life on every play, but I do think it's his fault sometimes, so it's kind of hard to say. You could go edge here, guy like Shamar Stewart, James Pierce. I think it could happen, but probably not. Kenneth Grant's here, Tyleik Williams. I don't know why he's so far down, but Derek Harmon. Those are all guys I could definitely see going here. However, I'm going to go with someone that I think is a top 10 player in this draft. I think he's very talented, certainly underrated, and Jalen Walker can play anywhere. He can play off the edge for you if you need him to. He can play off ball, and if you really need him to, he could kind of play a middle linebacker type, situation. This guy can really do anything. He's such a good player. I don't see why you pass on him. I mean, sure, you might want a pure edge rusher. I could see the Cardinals doing that, but I don't think you pass on Jalen Walker if he's there. Dolphins here at pick 15. Look, I mean, there's two players I'm considering here, and I am doing this off the fly if that wasn't obvious. Kenneth Grant, Derek Harmon. Okay, I said 2. I meant 3. Derek Harmon or Kenneth Grant. But then on top of that, maybe you consider James Pierce Jr. What do you want? I mean, ever since Christian Wilkins left, you just have not had that replacement. You haven't been able to replace him. So do you go for a guy like Derek Harmon, Kenneth Grant, that can really maybe bring what Christian Wilkins brought, or do you try to go for more of a pure edge rusher in James Pierce Jr.? I think they're going to try to find a guy that was a lot like Christian Wilkins, and I think Kenneth Grant is probably better than Derek Harmon. Not a knock to Derek Harmon, I just think Kenneth Grant is better. One thing I've thought about a lot, and I don't think I've seen many people talk about this too much, and again, this is my, I'm not 100% familiar with this class, is, did a lot of Kenneth Grant's success come from Mason Graham? I certainly don't think it's the other way around, so you do have to think about that a little bit, but I'm still going to take him because I think he's a first-round talent. Watching that Ohio State game, watching I forgot what other game it was I watched, Michigan. God, I'm blanking on it, but he looks solid. Mason Cream's clearly better by a good amount, but he's still pretty solid. Bengals here at 16. My Bengals, what are they going to take? Look, it's not going to be Luther Burden. If they take Luther Burden, I would be genuinely pretty mad, to be completely honest. We don't need receiver. Even if T goes, we desperately need edge or defensive line. And look, I would love for the Bengals to take James Reese Jr. or Derek Harmon. That, to me, would be the best case scenario. However, I know how Mike Brown and Duke Tobin draft. They don't draft like that. They draft off of pure physicals. And an athletic freak like Shamar Stewart is going to turn them on. Shamar Stewart goes to the Bengals. I don't know if he's going to be very solid in the league. I'm not going to sit here and say I think this guy's going to be amazing and this guy's going to be terrible. I don't like to do that. But Shamar Stewart, I have some questions on. I think he can be great. I think he just needs to put it all together. He certainly has the tools. Just can he put it together? We'll see. Alright, Falcons here at 17. This is a very easy pick for me. They need an edge rusher. James Pierce Jr. is still here. I don't know why they have him ranked 29th. He's very solid. His 23 year was generational, not actually. But, I mean, people were talking about him going number 1 overall at the beginning of the season. It didn't go like that. So I'm going to have James Pierce Jr. going here at pick 17. I think he's going to be very solid. I think he could end up being a guy a lot like Chase Young in some aspects. But we'll see. Pick 18 here. Seattle here at pick 18. Man, I'm tired, can you tell? Alright, let's go ahead and take a look here. And when I say take a look, I mean I already know what I'm going to give them. I think Josh Simmons is in play. I really do. I think teams are starting to realize how valuable he is. Just because of the injury, I don't think that pushes him down too much. However, it's between two players. Jonah Savainia. I know how to say his name, and I'm just not doing well right now. I swear I know how to say his name. That's not how you say it. Jonas Savainia. Wow, I can't even say my own player's name. It's between him and Josh Simmons, and the reason why is because Jonah can play guard, which the Seattle Seahawks desperately need. They need a guy who can play guard. However, he can't play tackle for you if you want him to. If you want to maybe move one of your tackles around, although I don't think you would want to, especially Charles Cross, how solid he's been this year. Everyone else on that O-line, not so much. I think I'm going to go Josh Simmons purely because I just think if it wasn't for the injury, he would be a top 5 player taken. So I think that pushes him up just enough. And he goes at pick 18 to the Seattle Seahawks. Texans. Look, Luther Burden's still here. It's really hard to pass on him. However, as fun as that is, you need to think about the fact CJ Stroud has been running for his life all season. You cannot keep having this happen. He has a sophomore slump, partly because of some bad reads, a lot of overthrown balls, but mostly because he hasn't had time to step up in the pocket and he can't get his feet set. That is extremely important for a quarterback. Jonas Savainia, yeah, this is embarrassing. Whatever, he goes at pick 19. I don't know why PFF has him graded so low. Very weird, but I do think he's going to be a first-round pick, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him go here at pick 19 to the Houston Texans. Denver Broncos here at pick 20. This will end up being the Bengals because we will make the playoffs, and this is going to age very poorly. Look, I've seen a lot of people want to go out and get him a tight end because, and this is true, Sean Payton loves his tight ends. However, you have a extremely good receiver falling into your lap. Do you pass on that? I don't think you do. As much as it's, as fun as it is to give the Broncos a tight end because, oh, Sean Payton, I just think you take Luther Burden. He's a great receiver. You need to give Bo Nix a better and younger option. Courtland Sutton's been solid. He's been great. So is Marvin Mims, Vele. A lot of these, it's a distribution sort of thing, committee, but you just want your guy. And I think Luther Burden, he's got the physicals, he's got the skills. He didn't have a great year this year, but that's because of quarterback play, not on him at all. Luther Burden goes at pick 20 to the Broncos. Buccaneers, there's a lot of different ways you can go. You can start thinking about a Chris Godwin replacement. Do you want to do that? I don't know. I think it's going to end up being an edge rusher, though. But the issue is we don't have any edge rushers that are worth taking here. I think you end up just going, look, Tyleik Williams and Derek Harmon still here. Let's just upgrade the pass rush in general. I don't think they need so much of an upgrade on the defensive line, especially the interior, because of Vita Vea. The thing is you don't have an edge rusher to take here. But Derek Harmon, he can still play besides Vita Vea in some way or another. He's a great player in the trenches. I don't think you pass on him simply because of the the position he plays. I think you take him and you figure out what you'll do with him, but I think you need him to upgrade that pass rush. It doesn't hurt that he also helps stop the run as well. Chargers here at pick 22. This is extremely easy. Look, Jim Harbaugh's going to want his guy. I just don't think Jim Harbaugh will let Colston Loveland slip any farther than that. He's going to want him. He's a Michigan player. On top of that, he's a great tight end. I do think Tyler Warren is the better tight end in this class. He's a better overall tight end. Loveland's very similar to Brock Bowers in the sense of he's more of a receiver than a tight end. Blocking is not all there. However, he's a great receiver. So, nothing to scoff at, and it's certainly not an insult. All right. Rams here at pick 23. This can be tackle. One match that I really like is actually Cam Williams to the Rams. I don't think it'll happen, but I think for some reason, if Cam Williams ends up going to the Rams in the draft, you heard it here first. However, I don't think that's the way they're going to going, because look at all the corners that are here. I mean, you had Will Johnson and Travis Hunter go all the way up here, but ever since then, you haven't seen them. And a guy like Siobhan Revel. Now, this is Dan Quinn's guy. He would love Siobhan Revel here. However, I think the Rams are going to pick him up first. Yes, he got injured. Season ended short. It's too bad. He probably would have gone higher if not for the injury. However, I think he's still going to go high because you know the talent's there. The injury also isn't too serious, so he should be totally ready to go by training camp. Rookie camp. Same thing, whatever. Packers. So many things you could do here. However, I think you need to upgrade corner. Jahdae Barron is a great corner. He's just not a great boundary corner. And he reminds me a lot of Brian Branch in the sense of he didn't go in the first round simply because he can't play in the boundary. He's a great DB, great player. You could get him, put him somewhere, nickel, whatever you want. He'd be really solid. I just think the whole boundary thing pushes his value down. However, someone that can play on the boundary is Benjamin Morrison. Now, the whole injury situation is a little weird. Was it more serious than everyone thought? How does it end up going? Does he end up missing a lot more time? Do you think about, does it affect his play? All those kind of questions can push him out of the first round completely. Does it end up happening? I don't know. But as of right now, how it stands right now, I think he goes to the Packers here at 24. Steelers, I think they will be picking a lot lower than this. I just don't, I don't know. Whatever. Amiga Ibuka, look, I don't want to hear it. They don't draft receiver in the first round, yes. But look at how your offense played when George Pickens was off the field. You cannot have that happen whenever he gets injured. Look, injuries are a part of the game. They're going to happen. You need to be ready for that. And I understand you don't like to take a receiver in the first round, but the thing you do like to take in the first round, none of it's here. So I don't see why you don't just go receiver here. Again, I know they don't do this. You want to know what else the Packers don't do? Take tackles in the first round. You want to know what they did last year? They took a tackle in the first round. My guy as well. So I think the Steelers break their sort of habit here, and I think they go, look, our yards, I want to say it was yards per game went down by 3 when George Pickens was out. I think it went from like 6.8 to 3.8 3.4, something like that. You cannot have that happen. So Mika Ibuka goes to the Steelers. I think that's what's going to end up happening in real life. I think that's just a player-to-team matchup that's just going to happen. Kind of like how Joey Porter Jr., everyone knew he was going to go to the Steelers. I think it's that situation. Sorry. I'm exhausted. It's pretty late. But I wanted to get this recorded. Okay. Pick 26 here, Washington Commanders, Redskins, whatever. You need corner. Desperately. You could use a tackle. Ariante Ursary is here. I don't know if he goes in the first round with how the board's playing out. But we will see. However, this is a guy that's not getting talked about enough. Maxwell Hairston. He's a player I actually do know about, hearing about from, YouTube, just kind of like college football in general, just hearing things, seeing things. I've seen some highlights of his. Maxwell Hairston is a great boundary corner. This is a guy that might be able to be a CB1 in the league if, things go right for him. I don't know why he's not being talked about as a first-round pick. I think he will end up being a first-round pick, if not a very high second-round pick. Maxwell Hairston, very solid corner. Certainly deserves to go here to the Commanders at 26. Ravens here at 27. This is my least favorite team in the league, just so we're all aware. Steelers are third. I hate the Chiefs a little more. Look, there's a good amount of tackles here, and with how that offensive line has been, I think you might consider taking it. However, they have been playing better come this half of the year, so do you maybe think about going corner? The issue is there's not a corner worth taking here. I think Jahdae Barron is worth taking. Do they take him? Probably not. So what do you do if you're the Ravens? Well, I think there's so many things you could do. Look, there's guys like Tyleik Williams and Walter Nolan still on the board. Do you take them? I mean, you can get a guy like Walter Nolan that just takes up space and put him next to Madubuike. That's something you think about. However, I do think they're just going to go Ariante Ursary. Upgrade the O-line. Give Lamar Jackson a little more protection. With how he's been throwing the ball this year, giving him a little more time certainly won't hurt. I almost said help. Won't hurt. And I just think you really upgrade the O-line there. Now, this is probably the easiest pick of the mock draft, and I'm going to tell you why. Howie Roseman loves big guys that he can develop in the trenches. This is how Howie Roseman drafts. This is a classic Howie Roseman pick. Cameron Williams to the Eagles is almost one I can guarantee if he falls to this pick. This is a guy who will sit behind Lane Johnson until he's ready to retire, and he will be amazing. This is how the Eagles always have a good O-line. They draft so well in the trenches, and it shows whenever Jalen Hurts has infinite time to throw in the pocket. Cameron Williams is one of my favorite players in the draft. I think he's going to be really good if developed right. One of my favorite players in the draft last year was Amarius Mims, which thankfully went to the Bengals. Outside of injury, he's an amazing tackle. He held Myles Garrett, Micah Parsons, and I believe T.J. Watt to 0 sacks. As a rookie, that is really impressive. The fact that Micah Parsons needed to get moved around to get away from him, that says something. Talking a little bit too much about Amarius Mims here, but I think Cameron Williams is a very similar player. Big, physical. He's got all the tools. He just needs to put it together. And Amarius Mims was started pretty early. If he put it together, Cam Williams might be able to do the same, but with more time to develop, that certainly won't hurt. The Bills here at pick 29. Yeah, this one's pretty simple. I just think this is going to be Tyleik Williams and Walter Nolan. I do think Walter Nolan goes earlier. He was a number 2 recruit a couple years ago, whenever his recruiting class was. Hasn't really played up to that expectation. Played on a couple different schools, which can hurt your draft stock. I just think there's too much potential there to pass up. Putting him next to Ed Oliver, I think, will really help the Bills out. The Lions here at pick 30. This is something that's interesting because you want him to go edge rusher, but is there an edge rusher worth taking? I really like Jack Sawyer to the Lions, but I just don't think he's played up enough to be a first-round draft pick. Another guy you really want to look out for when it comes to this pick is Jihad Campbell. Jihad Campbell is a first-round talent. However, he's a linebacker. That's not valued. You might be thinking, well, what about Jalen Walker? You took him earlier. That's different. He's an off-ball linebacker who can play edge. Middle linebackers like Jihad Campbell are not valued in the NFL. However, this is the big thing. The Lions do not care about value. They draft good players. Pick 12, Jahmyr Gibbs. Pick 19, Jack Campbell. They don't care what position they play. They care if you're a good football player. And it's ended up working out for them. They have hit on almost every draft pick because they just care about if you're good. They don't care about your position. So that's why you definitely want to look out for Jihad Campbell here. However, I really like Landon Jackson to the Lions. This will probably end up not sticking very long as the draft cycle goes on. But as of right now, I'm going to have it be Landon Jackson. Vikings, there's a couple of different ways you can go. Aaron Jones is really old. Do you move on from him? Probably. Amarian Hampton is fantastic. However, there's a guy that I want to talk about. And I don't think he's going to go here. But Cam Skattebo, I think might end up being better than Ashton Jeanty. Will he? I don't know. I wasn't a big Cam Skattebo fan until the game against Texas. He took an SEC defense and tore through them single-handedly, almost won Arizona State the game until the quarterback threw the game away. I forgot his name. Totally blanking on the name. I know it starts with an L, I think. But anyways, whatever. Cam Skattebo is an amazing player. This is a guy who would just run through your teeth. Dan Campbell would love this pick if he didn't already have two running backs. Certainly does not need a third. The Vikings, I think, would love to have Cam Skattebo. He brings just so much energy. He'll bring so much toughness. He will run through anyone. And in a division like the NFC North, you're going to need a good running back to really be able to control games, control score. This is a guy you want to have. Do I think he's going to go here? No. I think Amarian Hampton ends up going over him. I just want to talk about Cam Skattebo. I think he's amazing. I think he will end up being a second-round pick. But if he goes in the first round, is anyone really going to be shocked? I mean, this is a guy that just almost single-handedly brought his team to a college football playoff victory, if not for just the defense kind of giving up and the quarterback throwing a pick. Anyways, the Chiefs here at pick 32. Usually I don't have Tyler Warren falling here, but it's kind of just ended up that way. And I think with Travis Kelce, look, he's been, pretty productive this year towards the end, as it always seems to happen. But look, the only reason that's happening, and let's all face it, it's not because Travis Kelce is still an elite tight end. It's because Mahomes has no one else to throw to, because Rashee Rice is out for the year. D-Hop has been solid, but mostly in the red zone. Hollywood Brown, not really sure how he's done, to be completely honest. I saw him playing, I think it was just the Christmas game, and I think he had like 2 receptions. I'm not sure. But, so Travis Kelce just ends up getting, the production there. And I think if you let Tyler Warren develop behind Travis Kelce, similar to how Noah Gray is, however, I think Tyler Warren just has so much more potential, especially as a blocker. If you can build that chemistry up before he has to have all the pressure as a starting tight end, I think that would be great. And I think the Chiefs would love to have that. And there we go. So that's going to be, that's going to be my first mock draft on this channel. I made this channel actually a while ago, I think about a couple months ago. I was thinking about, doing a little bit of preseason previews for teams, maybe like record predictions and so on, but I ended up just not doing it. I got a little busy just with, college and just life and stuff. But, I'm on winter break. I've been really wanting to get this channel going, and I thought, man, this is perfect with mock draft season. So here we go. I mean, this is it. I hope you enjoyed. I would really appreciate subscribe, like, just kind of get this going. I'd really appreciate it. That would mean a lot. But yeah, this is just a place where I want to, I just want to talk about football in general. It's not all going to be just mock drafts. A lot of just, I don't want to say video essays, but just sort of touching on certain teams, certain players, whatever I want to talk about. But especially right now, it's going to be a lot of mock drafts. I'll definitely do a lot of free agency stuff when we get really close to that, if I continue to, upload a lot. I don't know 100%, but I want to, definitely. But yeah, so anyways, I would appreciate it if you would, subscribe, like the video. And yeah, so that'll be it. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day, night, whenever you're watching this. And see ya.